The war in Ukraine could have ended back in 2022. Peace terms were on the table. But according to both the former German Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder, and former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, it was the West, led by Washington, Biden's Secretary of State Antony Blinken, that told Kiev to keep fighting instead of signing a ceasefire. So when Donald Trump recently said that Russia was provoked and Boris Johnson sabotaged the peace talks, he wasn't far off. He could have told the full truth, and for reasons that I really don't get, because he could have buried Biden once again with legitimate reasons to bury Biden, he didn't. And the reasons that he didn't remain unclear and confusing to me personally. But let's go ahead and talk about provocation. Back in 1990, after Germany reunified after decades of being separate, U.S. Secretary of State James Baker told Gorbachev, then the leader of the USSR, that NATO would move not 1 inch eastward if Germany entered the alliance. It wasn't written into a treaty, but Russia has long seen NATO's eastward expansion as betrayal. And of course, in Western media and by the United States government, this conversation that was documented by reporters and UN workers who were there didn't happen. By 2008, NATO even declared that Ukraine and Georgia would become members of NATO. From Moscow's perspective, that was crossing a red line. In 2014, Ukraine erupted in the conflict. The leader of Ukraine was ousted, Russia seized Crimea, and a war began in the Donbass. The same year, a leaked call revealed that Washington wasn't just watching events, it was choosing Ukraine's new leader. Victoria Nuland and Jeffrey Pyatt made it clear, Yats is the guy. And later, Yatsenyuk became the prime minister. Around that same time, the far-right Azov regiment, a unit with open Nazi roots, was folded into Ukraine's National Guard. And now as you're watching this war unfold, you'll see images of people proudly waving Nazi memorabilia and Nazi flags, including the red flag with the swastika on it. Now, I'm not talking about people who say they're Nazis or how in the United States we loosely throw around the term Nazi without really identifying what it means. In Ukraine, these are people with legitimate roots to the Nazis of Germany who perpetuated the Nazi Holocaust that killed 6 million Jews and over 7 million other people in different ethnic and religious groups. This is rarely talked about in the American media. I mean, the story is stripped of context and told as a simple morality play. It's good versus evil, democracy versus autocracy. It's the mighty Ukraine, the underdog, against the big, evil, post-communist world of Russia who's trying to re-grab its USSR empire. But in reality, Russia has its reasons. Its national history is scarred by 3 invasions that all came through Ukraine. Napoleon in 1812, Germany in World War I, and Nazi Germany in World War II, a war that cost the Soviet Union tens of millions of lives. From Moscow's view, NATO on its border just isn't politics. It's an existential threat. Just imagine the reverse. What if China set up a military alliance and tried to bring Mexico into it after planting a pro-Chinese government there? Would the United States sit back and allow Mexico to have its autonomy to choose its own decisions? Of course not. We know the answer of what the United States would do from Vietnam, Nicaragua, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria. When countries make the wrong choice in Washington's eyes, the result is bombardment, the result is destruction, and the result is tens of millions of deaths. Today, Russia controls about 20% of Ukraine's territory. The doomsday clock sits at 89 seconds to midnight, and the Trump administration has no clear plan to end the conflict. Instead, United States policy has included moving nuclear-armed submarines closer to Russia, raising the risk of escalation. Meanwhile, much of the global south has rejected the United States' pressure to join sanctions. They've seen this movie before, and they know who profits. Because war is a good business. Oil companies are reporting record profits, and arms manufacturers are raking in billions. And as long as the money flows, peace has no lobby in Washington. This isn't Russian apologia. Russia has committed war crimes, and so has Ukraine. But Americans rarely hear the full story. NATO's broken assurances, the sabotage of peace talks, U.S. interference in Ukraine's leadership, the backing of extremist factions, and the profits that keep the war going. Without that context, Americans are left with propaganda instead of history, and war without end becomes the only option on the table. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always with my videos, the first link in the description will be for the United States Campaign for Palestinian Rights, who are working to end the genocide in Gaza. The United Nations has officially declared a famine in Gaza, with people dying of starvation every single day. Israel has continued to move to complete its genocide, calling up reservists to overtake Gaza City and murdering more journalists since I made my video and Substack article last week. If you can donate to the United States Campaign for Palestinian Rights, please do so. If you can look at their page and find an organization near you to where you can move to help end the horrors that are going on in Gaza, that would be great as well. The second link will be to the Substack article that goes along with these videos that I write every single week on Substack.com under Zachariah Overton. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.